This is Chief Obidike Ajuluchukwu on behalf of BlackTVOnline.com here in Washington, D.C. with a special guest. Most people outside of Nigeria know him but do not know him. Today we have an opportunity to meet the one man who came in second during the presidential election in Nigeria, His Excellency, and he is entitled by that because he was once the president of Nigeria, His Excellency General Muhammadu Buhari. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
God bless you, sir. Thank you very much for coming to Black TV Online.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Sir, the world has finally wanted to meet who you are. Normally we would go through a litmus test of your CV and tell them who you are, where you were born and all that. But we will leave that to you to do. Would you please tell the viewers of BlackTVOnline.com who you are?
Well, as you said very briefly, I was born in Daura in Katsina State, 17th December 1942. I did my primary school there. I went to Katsina Middle School 1953, Katsina Secondary School 56 to 61, Nigerian Military Training College, Kaduna, 62, commissioned in the United Kingdom, January 1963, went to Zaire as a junior officer. I went through all the appointments of command and staff in the military, from second lieutenant to a major general. I was head of state 1983 to 85. Of course, I was overthrown August 1985.
No, most people in a democratic society don't understand what overthrown means.
Well, okay. Well, removed from power in a coup.
A coup d'etat.
Yes, detained for 46 months, went back home. 2002, I decided to join partisan politics. My party, the All Nigerian People's Party, gave me the ticket and contested and lost after 2 years court action in Nigeria, and Supreme Court decided Chief Obasanjo still remains the president. That was July this year. So I am now here in Washington, where I came for a book launch, and I'm returning tomorrow back to Nigeria.
Most people have speculated that you are going to be a candidate for president of Nigeria come 2007. Are you now a candidate? Will you tell Nigerians abroad that you are now an actual, without a doubt, a candidate for the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
At the moment, I'm an aspirant. My party has to nominate me, and my party has a program in place very recently released. Between January 28th and April 28th next year, there will be a series of congresses from wards to local government to state, and then convention. 28th of April next year in Abuja. It will be at that convention that I will know whether my party will nominate me again as its
as the flag bearer for ANPP
against 2007.
Your Excellency, during your tenure as president, there are some things that you did, and I would like to just, if you don't want to, you don't have to answer. Decree number 4.
Yes.
That, in a sense, said that press people should not be criticizing government. Has there been a change of mind in that regard?
Yeah, but you know, I operated under a military system. This is a more democratic system.
Yes.
So that question has been answered by the system under which I'm looking for leadership now.
That is interesting. We have what we call quick questions.
Yes.
And this quick question just allows for you to answer the question any way that you want to. Freedom of the press.
Well, I have answered that question surprisingly. We are under a democratic system. The Constitution guarantees the freedom of expression, whether verbally or through electronics or print. So I cannot change the Constitution on my own. And since I have accepted to go through the system, the question of guaranteeing freedom of the press does not even arise.
ANPP, your political party. Tell us about this ANPP.
Well, it's one of the 30 registered parties in Nigeria by the Independent Electoral Commission, which has been constitutionally in place by the way that it has to register all political associations that qualified a certain criteria into political parties, organize elections, run the elections, and declare results. Well, the ANPP, other than the main party, which is the PDP, is the only party that has 7 state governments. It has at least 49 members of the National Assembly, senators and other representatives, and form the minority leadership in a number of states, in spite of the type of election we had.
So ANPP came in second to PDP.
Yes.
But did very well.
They would have done even better if the election were free and fair.
I'm not even going to go into the other questions because I think it's the compatibility between Islam and democracy. For most people, His Excellency have rendered information on that, and if you want to see it, you can just simply download it on Black TV Online so that you can see his position on compatibility between Islam and democracy. He made a presentation yesterday at the Brookings Institute in Washington, D.C. So anybody who is interested in seeing it, they can just download it and see that. So we'll leave that subject to those people who want to really see it and who are interested. Let them go down and download it on blacktvonline.com.
That's right.
Let me ask you about Oji Uzokalo. What is your thoughts?
Well, I think he's an independent-minded young man. He is highly innovative, I think courageous, knows what his constituency wants, and is heading for it. I have a lot of respect for him.
You know he is a candidate.
Yes, he wants to be a candidate. He said it, and he is already filmed some adverts in the national papers.
Education in Nigeria. There is a substantial amount of belief that a majority of educated Nigerians are outside of Nigeria. Is there anything that you would do if you were to win the presidency to bring Nigerians back to Nigeria?
Yes. Certainly, Nigeria needs quality manpower to remain at home to help rehabilitate our infrastructure in education, healthcare, power, and above all, I think security. Because all this noise the government is making about investment in Nigeria, the environment is just not conducive. And investors that go and survey, I think, was held, their intention to invest in Nigeria until the physical security of the country has improved. So really, physical and material security is virtually our priority.
But I know that you see Nigeria from a different perspective, that is from a national perspective.
That's right.
Is security still a major issue in Nigeria?
It is a major issue in Nigeria.
So would you encourage those industrialized nations? Is it safe for them to come to Nigeria and invest in Nigeria?
We will try and make Nigeria safe as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, because the infrastructure is there. We have the military, we have the civil police agencies. What we need is innovation, retraining, re-equipping, and certainly supervision from the highest level.
Let me ask you a soft question. History is changing. Africa is changing. Liberia just elected a woman as the president of that country, the first woman ever in the whole history of Africa. What is your thought about this woman being elected as president of Liberia, of an African country?
Well, an African country, isn't this the same with Germany? She's just having her first chancellor. That depends on my party. I believe the hierarchy of my party will be upset if I make up my mind for the party here in the United States.
Okay. Would you consider having a woman as your running mate?
Still, it depends on my party. If my party said this lady is highly qualified, the party said she's going to be a running mate, if my party gives me the ticket, I have no alternative but to accept her.
Excellency, in Nigeria, much of the state, the funding for the state comes from the federal government. There is now some belief that the states don't have very much right to develop certain other economics, take the role of developing other economic projects. Would you support states to have a greater right in what happens in those states, in every state?
I think the question is wrong. States are given allocation from the federal revenue allocation formula. They are supposed to have budgets. What do they do with that budget is supposed to be argued by their state assemblies, and what they approve becomes law. States can have different priorities. For example, most of the northern states, agriculture and education ought to be their priorities. Because in Nigeria, you know very well, at least 70% of Nigerians live in the rural areas. Then it makes a lot of sense for all Nigerian governments, the 3 tiers of government, to invest heavily in agriculture. That will keep the able bodies, the 70% of the able bodies in that area, very busy and productive, and therefore increase the security of Nigeria and productivity.
Well, you put it a little differently, and I think most Nigerians will accept your explanation. In some circles in the Nigerian community here, they believe that there are other ways of developing their agriculture. There are other things that in their states that they can do.
Solid minerals, for example, solid minerals.
Correct.
You see, the problem in Nigeria for those of us who are living there now, there are too much unemployment of able bodies, and that's very, very dangerous for the nation state security. And agriculture is the quickest way to provide employment for those able bodies. Then you go to industries, improve power supply, and of course security, to make it possible for Nigerians to work 24 hours a day in shifts and so on. We believe that is very clear. It only needs the political will for leadership at all the tiers of government to implement.
All right, sir. Third term agenda for His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo. What is your view on it? Do you support a third term agenda, the referendum, all the efforts that is being made for the president to return as a third term?
Well, how I wish you had been following the statements I am making, political appointment. Before De Fabre died, when his book was being launched, I flew into Port Harcourt, and I was asked virtually the same question you were asking me by your Nigerian colleagues, journalists. And I told them I am totally against Chief Obasanjo's move for the third term, no matter how he wants to circumvent it. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is absolutely clear on how processes of changing the Constitution should start. I believe Chief Obasanjo wasted Nigerian money by forming the Political Reform Conference and drawing it nominations, majority of which nominated by him personally, the rest by his party, and given a constitutional amendment proposal to be debated by that body and then maybe surreptitiously sent to the National Assembly. Well, actually, the National Assembly is supposed to initiate the processes of constitution changing. The executive can send the bill. Private members can start initiating by sending the bill. Constituencies can call their representatives, give them a draft of the bill to be taken. Then why waste Nigeria's several billion naira that can be usefully put, especially to put into power? I have consistently been against it. It is Western Nigerian resources and Western Nigeria's time. The Constitution now specifically said 2 terms of 4 years by governors and president. I think Chief Obasanjo is physically and mentally tired. I think he should go 2007.
Is it something that he is doing? You know him.
Yes,
is it
I
something
served
that
under him for 4 years.
Is he actually the one that is pushing for this third term?
He is.
It's not being done by people around him.
He is.
He wants a third
Let
term.
him come out and deny it now. Let him come out and say, Nigerians, people around me are pressurizing me to ask for the third term, to change the Constitution. I am not for it. This Constitution, as far as terms, the 2 terms, by the President, the Vice President, the governors and deputy governors, will not be changed, will not be initiated by me, period. I am going 2007. He would have done Nigeria a great deal of favor.
It would be easier.
It would have been easier for the country, because his third term attempt is going to be resisted. Majority of Nigerians don't like it. They don't like it.
The MDD and the MRD group have formed a merger. They would like to now really push this against PDP. Is this an inside fight that is going on?
Yes, it is an inside fight. There are factions of PDP. So it's hardly my business what they are doing.
You have to excuse me, but that's an interesting word. Excellency, you remember the war, the Biafran-Nigerian war.
Yeah.
There are still some feelings. There are still some anger. How do you feel about this Mossab and all these other organizations that still want to separate from the rest of Nigeria? Have the wounds of the war been healed? And if you become president, do you have a formula to heal this wound?
I think that will have adequately been healed by General Gowon. General Gowon, when he announced no victor, no vanquish, he meant it. Throughout those 30 months, other than a few weeks, I was involved in it. From the northern border to Afikpo, where we linked with the Side Marine Commando, after which I formed a brigade in Makadi. I know Gowon is a man of conscience. He virtually did whatever Asika wants him to do to heal the wounds of the war. I think people demanding for membership of MASOP is mostly the post-Civil War generation. They didn't know what happened. They didn't experience it. They just read about it or heard about it. So one can excuse the exuberance of the youth.
In the 2007 election that is coming up, there are some 3.5 or 3.4, depending on whose number you listen to, million Nigerians outside of Nigeria in diaspora. Would you support them having the right to vote in the presidential election of 2007?
I will support it, but with a big caveat. Our biggest problem in Nigeria is free and fair election. If Nigeria cannot, up to today, organize free and fair election inside the country, I have my doubts if it has the capacity or the integrity to allow Nigerians outside to vote. I have my doubts. This government hasn't got the integrity to organize free and fair election. It hasn't done it since it came into power in 1999. Just a week ago, there was a by-election in Imo State for a senatorial district. I hope you will get in touch with people back home and find out what transpired.
We will.
Please do.
We will. We will indeed find out what took place at that senatorial election. Nigerians in diaspora are raising a red flag. They want to be involved.
Well, they know what it is by living in a country where the system works. They know Nigeria has the resources, both human and material. Look, if Ghana can organize the elections, if Niger, of about 8 million voters, can organize the election, if India, that has more religions, more cultures, more ethnicity than Nigeria, with 600 million voters, can organize the election, it is a disgrace Nigeria cannot organize free and fair election. It's a disgrace. And I am sorry I'm part of it, but I said I have no other country than Nigeria. I will still remain in Nigeria and try and solve the situation.
Is Nigeria a wonderful country? Is it a wonderful country?
Yes, it is. By any standard. But Nigeria is a bunch of contradictions.
I would like to thank you for this most exclusive interview. If you had anything at all to say to Nigerians in diaspora, would you tell them anything that is in your heart, not only as a candidate, but as a former head of state? Talk to Nigerians.
Firstly, I pass by this message my respect to Nigerians that are here. They are innovative, competent Nigerians whose capacity to lead independent life made them successful in this country of great competition. But I appeal to Nigerians here to contact their constituencies back at home and directly continue to encourage and educate people back at home about the values of developed democracy. From 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed, this is an empire in the 20th century that collapsed without a shot being fired because the system became hopelessly inefficient. Because of the adage, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, in the Communist Party there. From that time I was convinced multi-party democratic system is the best form of governance, with the big caveat that elections must be free and fair. Nigerian industry must go back home, directly or indirectly, and organize free and fair election, and encourage free and fair election.
There is an organization, a very brand new organization in the United States called ANAC, All Nigerian American Congress, that is trying to bring all Nigerians under one roof instead of the separate, different organizations that exist in the country. On their next, there is an effort to try to bring them, have a new congressional meeting. Could we ask you to come to them the next time that you come around, if they're having a meeting, and talk about democracy and about your election?
It will be a pleasure.
There it is. His Excellency will come to ANAC because he believes in a holistic Nigeria. Am I correct, sir?
Absolutely.
Sir, I'm most grateful for your allowance of this interview. Nigerians, you have heard it. America, you have heard it. His Excellency Buhari have talked to us on this day. This is Chief Obidike Ajuluchukwu on behalf of Black TV Online. God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this interview.
It's a pleasure.
God bless you and have a safe trip home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.